The Shark Trust is a UK registered charity. We were established in 1997, and that was back at a time where sharks kind of received little to no management or attention. So we've got a number of campaigns and projects that encourage the public to get involved with shark conservation, and we also conduct a lot of policy work as well. So the latest campaign concentrated on closing loopholes in the EU shark finning ban. And we're now working on a new campaign which is called No Limits, and encourages catch limits, science-based catch limits for those species found further offshore, like the short fin mako and the blue shark, that are currently kind of open to unchecked exploitation and unrestricted trade.
So I'm aware that you have an egg case project of the shark and ray egg cases. If you could just give us a little overview of that as well, and how that's important for the conservation of the animals as well.
Okay, so the Great Eggcase Hunt is kind of one of the Shark Trust's kind of flagship projects. We set it up back in 2003. And initially it was just devised as a way to kind of get the public involved and to kind of tell them that we've got shark skates and rays in our waters, and this is the evidence of some of them for those egg-laying species. So the Great Eggcase Hunt just literally encourages people out onto their local beaches. It doesn't have to be an organised event. It can just be kind of walking the dog out with the kids, kind of, or with your mates or anything. You see an egg case in the strand line, you pick it up. You use our identification guides to record what you to kind of decide what you found, and then you can use our online recording form and kind of send us a report. All of that information that is then collated kind of becomes data, and we can use that data to try and figure out the broad distribution and the relative abundance of these egg-laying species around the UK.
And this is using data from people all over the country.
Yeah.
Sort of citizen science.
Yeah, absolutely. Citizen science public recording project. And we've been able to figure out what species you're finding where. So the undulate ray, for example, there's beaches in the south where we'll find it in their hundreds, but you won't find kind of in the north of England. The common skate, which is this huge egg case here, it used to be a species that you'd find all the way around the UK, but due to fishing pressures, it's now a critically endangered species, and you're only finding it in the northwest of Scotland and the islands around there. So you go to Orkney and you'll be kind of tripping up over these egg cases, but you won't find them anywhere else. It is definitely kind of a stronghold up there. Yeah, I mean, obviously empty egg cases that are washed ashore don't necessarily indicate that's the exact spot they were found. They can be taken quite far in currents or through wave action, or kind of blown further along the beach. So at the moment we're quite keen to link our beach records with actual egg-laying sites. Kind of the presence of large numbers of egg cases of a certain species can indicate potential kind of nursery grounds or egg-laying grounds further offshore. But we need the evidence to kind of be able to link those beach records with the egg-laying grounds. So we're asking divers to kind of record when they see egg cases in situ, so we can figure out kind of where they're being laid a bit more and try and map the data together. And we're also working with an organisation called CFAS as well, to kind of overlay their trawl data with the species they're finding and where our egg cases are being found, and that's kind of mapping up quite nicely as well.
Okay, so I can see you've got a whole load of egg cases in front of you here. So if people are out looking for these, what are the main differences they're looking for? How many types of species have we got? Okay,
well, we've got several species of skate, which can get confusing as well. They're often called rays. So you've got the thornback ray, the small-eyed ray, the spotted ray. Technically, they are skate. It's just a problem we've got with naming in the UK. Skates produce their young in egg cases, whereas rays are live-bearing. So it's a bit of a problem with naming, but we'll get past that one. So we've got several different skate species, and we've got two different cat sharks that are found more commonly. So the cat sharks are identified by these curly tendrils. So they're kind of got this long oblong shape, and the curly tendrils which are used to kind of wrap them around seaweed. So they're laid in pairs, and as the female's laying them, she'll kind of swim around in circles to kind of bind that onto the seaweed. And you quite often find them in huge masses such as this.
Wow.
And so this is the small spotted cat shark, and then this is the nurse hound, which is the larger species. So they're the two most common shark egg cases you'll find. There are other ones like the blackmouth cat shark, but it's a much deeper water species, so you don't see the egg cases wash up on beaches. And they vary quite a lot in colour as well. You can see some of them are kind of quite pale and yellowish, some of them are darker brown to kind of green, some will be black. So colour isn't kind of a good indicator when trying to identify them. Yeah. and it can depend on things like water temperature as well, and kind of how fresh the egg case is as well. So then the skate egg cases have got these horns, so they'll have one on each corner. Obviously they can be found kind of quite broken and battered, so you can quite often just kind of find chunks of egg cases that are missing. But in theory they've got a horn on each corner. So you can see on this one, this has kind of got a bit of a mucousy membrane, and basically, see, these ones are attached to seaweed, whereas these ones are laid on the seabed or in kind of rocks and crevices, and so they've got this kind of covering that will attract kind of sand and bits of detritus, and they'll kind of weigh them down whilst the young's developing. So we've got quite a few different species that you're commonly likely to find in the UK. We've got the blonde ray, which is one of the larger egg cases. We've got the small-eyed ray, which has got these really fine kind of filamentous horns at the top. We've got the thornback ray, this one here, yeah, which is kind of a mini version of the blonde. We've got the starry skate, which is kind of got almost a washboard texture. It's kind of quite a different texture to the other ones, and it's one of the smaller species. That one, again, it's a bit more of an offshore, deeper water species, so it's not washed up so often, and it tends to be a bit more northerly. We've got the two cat sharks I mentioned, the undulate ray, which has quite often got these kind of ragged edges, and the spotted ray, which those two can quite often be confused because we quite often get areas where there's kind of large spotteds and small undulates, so it can cause a bit of problems with identification. And then we've got the cuckoo ray as well, which has got these beautiful kind of long horns. It's got almost kind of a bobsleigh shape to it as well. Again, that one's not found kind of quite so often as some of the other ones. As well as those ones, if you're really lucky, then you've got the common skate or the flapper skate that I mentioned earlier on. So these ones, they can take up to 2 years for the young to develop inside of them. And, you know, you see that on the beach, you'd maybe think it was a bit of bark, but like I said, they are kind of limited distribution to kind of Scotland now. And then the smaller blue skate, which again you're less likely to find kind of washed up on a beach. So it's those two species of the common skate as it was. And then we've got the white skate as well, which is another huge egg case, which is kind of more found in the Celtic Sea and around Ireland. So again, if you're really lucky over there, then you might find one, but kind of less so in England, kind of Welsh, Scottish waters. So before you've actually identified them, it quite often helps to soak the egg case so it's wet. They're quite different. They're kind of a lot more flexible. They expand and they kind of return to their original kind of pliable state. Whereas when they're kind of dry and washed up, they're quite kind of brittle. So when you've soaked them, you can see where the egg case splits to allow the young to come out. So whilst they're developing inside, the wings will literally be folded over themselves with a tail kind of poking into one of the corners, and that will just pump backwards and forwards. There's slits along the outside, so that will bring in kind of new seawater to keep it oxygenated, and when they're ready to hatch, that will split open, and that's where they come out. So incubation time's different according to different species. So the small spotted cat shark, maybe 9 months. The larger species kind of can be a year or two. So they will kind of vary in terms of that.
Thank you very much, Kat, and good luck with the rest of the project.
Thank you very much, and yeah, let us know when you find any egg cases out on the beaches as well.